If I would've known that you wouldn't be here anymore, I would've made the moments last a little longer.
Good evening. Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
"8:45 a.m. American Airlines Flight Number 11 with 92 people on board crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York City.
Yeah.
I remember where I was on that warm, clear Tuesday morning of September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. I will remember like it was yesterday. Where were you? On this day, many years ago, 246 people went to sleep in preparation for their morning flights. 2,606 people went to sleep in preparation for work in the morning. 343 firefighters went to sleep in preparation for their morning shift. 60 police officers went to sleep in preparation for their morning patrol. 8 paramedics went to sleep in preparation for their morning shift. None of them saw past 10 a.m. September 11th, 2001. In one single moment, life may never be the same. As you live and enjoy the breaths you today and tonight before you go to sleep in preparation for your life tomorrow, kiss the ones you love, snuggle those children a little tighter, and never take 1 second of your life for granted. We're praying for the families of those who lost a loved one on this day in this time period many years ago. Never forget. United we stood on September 11th. On a footnote, folks, there's a lot of you that weren't born during this time, and you just don't quite understand. It'd be like asking someone who lived through Pearl Harbor to forget about Pearl Harbor. For many of us in our ages, September 11th was our Pearl Harbor, and it will feel for the rest of our lives like it was yesterday. So please take note of that when you talk to others and say, why do you care about September 11th so much? Let's worry about other things. Because it mattered. It mattered, folks. And it still does. The world's not going to change overnight. We're going to keep spinning, no matter what tragedy we go through. But there's some key points in our history that we cannot forget. And September 11th will always go down as a time we will never forget. God bless everybody.
This shot showing you lower Manhattan, and everything is actually in pretty good shape now as we work into clear.
This is the news leader, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
That's the news for now. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good morning, everyone. I'm Diana Williams.
And I'm Bill Ritter. Nightline is up next, and Eyewitness News returns in just a few hours at 5 a.m. with live election coverage from the polls. For all of us here, Sam, Scott, and Denver, the entire team, have a great morning. See you tomorrow.
For today.
Приготовьтесь сюда и примерить сюда на бомбу.
Tuesday, 9:47 a.m.
Hi, baby. Baby, you have to listen to me carefully. I'm on a plane that's been hijacked. I'm on the plane. I'm calling from the plane. I want to tell you I love you. Please tell my children that I love them very much. And I'm so sorry, babe. I hope to be able to see your face again, baby. I love you. Bye. I love you. Bye.
New type of war.
good it is.
And to continue, here is something visually which we've been talking about in our coverage earlier today, which I must tell you we were really looking forward to. We saw a report earlier today that at Buckingham Palace in London, where Queen Elizabeth II lives when she is in London, the Coldstream Guards, who change the guard, not the Coldstream Guards, but they change the guard every day at Buckingham Palace, as we know, and we are told that at the request of the Queen, the Coldstream Guards band played the Star-Spangled Banner. Let's listen.
sound, and then there was a pause for about a split second, and then there was like a scream or two, and then everyone just ran. Everybody. There was mass chaos.
The smoke, the black smoke and fire.
Hijacked, and there are indications that it may have been a Boeing 767 out of Boston.
Like a train rumbling for maybe like 35 seconds, and then there was like this pause, and then boom, hit with all the dust, and it was black. I mean, pitch black. I don't know if anybody could have survived being on the street at that time.
Right there.
You can see the black smoke billowing out of the side of the Pentagon. It continues to billow out and cover much of the skyline here along the area, drifting along the Potomac River, casting a haze all over the Pentagon area.
It didn't look like there was a plane at all. It was just obliterated when it hit the ground.
He told me he was putting a plan together that he and others were going to take back the airplane. And he said, you know, Dina, I think we can do it. It's up to us.
And we will strive now very hard to save as many people as possible and to send a message that the city of New York and the United States of America is much stronger than any group of barbaric terrorists.
All of the suspects right now that I know that the U.S. is looking at are in the Middle East. And frankly, we have to put Osama bin Laden at the top of the list.
We will make no distinction between the terrorists who committed these acts and those who harbored them.
We've got to do something now and do it immediately. I mean, we're entitled to some semblance of security, some semblance of rationality, and I think that all died in New York. I've been in the city for years, and I've never heard it as silent and as sad as I've heard it tonight. This city is in shock, and unless you're here tonight, you don't quite comprehend it.
Where were you on 9/11? Well, I know I was sitting there waking up and being woke up by, hey, a plane just flew into a building. And I'm sitting there arguing, well, maybe it's an accident. I don't know. You know, who knows? And then that second plane flew in, and we were freaking out. We were thinking about we were going to pack, we were going to get on the road. I remember calling my parents who were in Florida. Turned out they had went to the casino, of course. Trying to call them frantically, trying to call them. We didn't have cell phones and things like that. As much, you know, back then. I know it's 2001, but we didn't have them like we have now. Couldn't get in touch with them at all. That's kind of the reason why I didn't go. And we watched on TV as they were taking down planes. They took down that plane going toward the White House. They won't tell you that, but it didn't crash. They took it down. And what I was saying is the airplanes falling into the building weren't just the only things. I don't think the government was involved, but I think there was more to it than meets the eye. I think that internally there were bombs that were set off. They were smarter than the government wants to let on. They sat down, they detonated, and that's why they call it 9/11. But people died. Could you imagine the amount of videos and things we had? If we had Twitter and things that we have nowadays, 9/11 happened, how much video we would have had, how much even more closer, or at least the opportunity where people could have said their goodbyes on camera. But 9/11 people, millennials, nowadays, they do not understand. Scott on the radio talked about it. They don't understand what happened. That's why there's so many youth that just don't understand. They've actually lived through a period of peace, and they think that Obama brought them that peace, or the tail end of W. No. We're just lucky that nothing other than, you know, the Boston bombing or some other things have nothing major like 9/11's happened since then. Because we have to put those measures into order, we've had to put years of measures in airplanes, and things we have to get used to because of terrorism. Now, I tell you what, I remember the days after 9/11. The amount of patriotism in America we never going to see ever again. It was like 4th of July for months. People had American flags everywhere. We weren't Republicans. We weren't Democrats. We were all Americans. We were all patriots. I miss those days. So God bless everybody. God bless the souls who lost on 9/11. And hope everybody's safe. God bless America. I'll talk to you later.
Tragic alert for you right now. An incredible plane crash into the World Trade Center here at the lower tip of Manhattan.
It was then White House Chief of Staff Andy Card who whispered the news into President Bush's ear. It would be America's darkest day, now 20 years ago.
Today we've had a national tragedy. 2 airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country.
The South Tower of the World Trade Center collapsing. The North Tower falling 29 minutes later. In Washington, the center of American leadership, the Pentagon targeted, and another hijacked plane. Flight 93 crashing in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. On Wall Street, the explosion of the first building to come down was being felt in real time.
I just came back from outside, and I am covered with soot. Basically, I was outside when that third explosion occurred. The whole area turned pitch black when that third explosion happened. I don't know if you could see my jacket and my shoes, but I'm completely covered in white smoke.
Freedom itself was attacked this morning by a faceless coward, and freedom will be defended.
I'm standing in the very place that I reported from 20 years ago after the attacks. And what was most important for me that day was to communicate to the world that everyone was accounted for here at the New York Stock Exchange.
It was a real team effort.
Former New York Stock Exchange President Dick Grasso, one of the many unsung heroes that day.
We had 3 floors in that building during the 1993 bombing. And sadly, we got the same message, and my folks were trapped for 6 hours in the building.
You knew not to follow the same guidance.
I said to David, get them out now. I don't care what they're saying.
Outside, the debris was flying. There was papers and steel and just massive smoke in the air. The entire area was pitch black when the buildings came down. The first responders, America's heroes, the New York Police Department, the Fire Department of New York, and Port Authority Police rushing in as people rushed out, trying to escape the flames, black smoke, flying debris, and cement. We lost 2,977 friends, family, and first responders that day. President Bush, then just 9 months into his first term as commander-in-chief, swore those responsible would be held accountable.
I want you all to know that America today is on bended knee in prayer for the people whose lives were lost here, for the workers who work here, for the families who mourn. This nation stands with the good people of New York City and New Jersey and Connecticut as we mourn the loss of thousands of our citizens. I can hear you. I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you. And the people who knock these buildings down will hear all of us soon.
If we look to the answer as to why for so many years we achieved so much, prospered as no other people on earth, it was because here in this land we unleashed the energy and individual genius of man to a greater extent than has ever been done before. Freedom and the dignity of the individual have been more available and assured here than in any other place on earth. The price for this freedom at times has been high, but we have never been unwilling to pay that price. Those who say that we're in a time when there are no heroes, they just don't know where to look. The sloping hills of Arlington National Cemetery, with its row upon row of simple white markers bearing crosses or stars of David, they add up to only a tiny fraction of the price that has been paid for our freedom. Each one of those markers is a monument to the kind of hero I spoke of earlier. Their lives ended in places called Belleau Wood, the Argonne, Omaha Beach, Salerno, and halfway around the world on Guadalcanal, Tarawa, Pork Chop Hill, the Chosin Reservoir, and in 100 rice paddies and jungles of a place called Vietnam. Under one such marker lies a young man, Martin Treptow, who left his job in a small-town barber shop in 1917 to go to France with the famed Rainbow Division. There on the Western Front,
He was killed trying to carry a message between battalions under heavy artillery fire. We're told that on his body was found a diary. On the flyleaf, under the heading, My Pledge, he had written these words: America must win this war. Therefore I will work, I will save, I will sacrifice, I will endure. I will fight cheerfully and do my utmost as if the issue of the whole struggle depended on me alone. We must realize that no arsenal or no weapon in the arsenals of the world is so formidable as the will and moral courage of free men and women. It is a weapon our adversaries in today's world do not have. It is a weapon that we as Americans do have. Let that be understood by those who practice terrorism and prey upon their neighbors. As for the enemies of freedom, those who are potential adversaries, they will be reminded that peace is the highest aspiration of the American people. We will negotiate for it, sacrifice for it. We will not surrender for it now or ever. We are Americans.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light, horse so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through perilous fights. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, held its red glare, the bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the
We grieve together for every mother and father, sister and brother, son and daughter who was stolen from us at the Twin Towers, the Pentagon, and here in this Pennsylvania field. We honor their sacrifice by pledging to never flinch in the face of evil and to do whatever it takes to keep America safe. In the wake of the September 11th attacks, courageous Americans raced into smoke, fire, and debris in Lower Manhattan, the Pentagon, and a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. The whole world witnessed the might and resilience of our nation in the extraordinary men and women of the New York Fire Department and the New York Police Department. Earlier this year, we fully reauthorized the Victims' Compensation Fund to the tune of billions and billions of dollars. When the World Trade Center came down, I saw something that no place on earth could have handled more beautifully, more humanely than New York. And the cleanup started the next day, and it was the most horrific cleanup probably in the history of doing this and in construction. I was down there, and I've never seen anything like it. I've seen two huge 110-story buildings that are reduced to rubble, thousands and thousands of lives. I just got to see something that I've never seen before. I have hundreds of men inside working right now, and we're bringing down another 125 in a little while, and they've never done work like this before.
We come here in the knowledge that we cannot erase the pain or reverse the evil of that dark and wretched day. But we offer you all that we have, our unwavering loyalty, our undying devotion, and our eternal pledge that your loved ones will never, ever be forgotten.
Large fire at the Pentagon. The Pentagon has been evacuated. And there's, you can see, perhaps the second tower, the front tower, the top portion of which is collapsing. Good Lord. There are no words. You can see large pieces of the building falling. You can see the smoke rising. You can see a portion of the side of the building now just being covered on the right side as I look at it, covered in smoke. This is just a horrific scene and a horrific moment. The president, who is in Florida today, is en route back to the White House. He took off a short time ago. The White House itself has been evacuated on the basis of what the Secret Service says was a credible threat on the mansion itself. We believe now that we can say that portions of both towers of the World Trade Center have collapsed. Whether there were second explosions, that is to say explosions other than the planes hitting them that caused this to happen, we cannot tell you. Rose Arce, one of our CNN producers, is on the phone. Rose, what do you got?
I'm about a block away, and there were several people that were hanging out the windows right below where the plane crashed, when suddenly you saw the top of the building start to shake, and people began leaping from the windows in the north side of the building. You saw two people at first plummet, and then a third one, and then the entire top of the building just blew up, and splinters of debris are falling on the street. Where I'm right now, there's a thick plume of smoke, and you can see crowds of people, including emergency service workers and police officers, running from the scene, screaming, and there's a school nearby where there were kids in the schoolyard. That has been emptied out, and they're running up the street now, too. The whole, sort of the neighborhood, I'd say several blocks up, is covered by this almost powdery smoke, little tiny pieces of building you can see just floating in the wind around it. It's almost like a huge cloud had kind of enveloped that part of lower Manhattan.
It is just one of those awful moments that you need to look at for a minute or two to absorb exactly what has happened.
Right here. Stay right here. Let's go. Here it comes. Move it now. Let's go. Better where? It's better where? Better in there. Okay. Are you okay? Go ahead in. Go ahead in. Are you okay? Okay. Okay. Is everyone okay?
Get some water. Well, I don't have any. I'll get some water. Go under the fire truck. Right there. The closest fire truck has water right there. You have no water?
You got water?
If you find any of those spots, I can get you water. There's a truck right there. You can get water out of it. They're staging a battery truck. You get there. I'm sure they'll stage it over here too. Hey, let me water. Give us to the fire. Come on, hey! Hey! There's gonna be explosions. Don't let it panic you. Do not hit anybody as you drive. Do we have any, I thought we were done. I thought it was over.
Just received word that a plane apparently has crashed into the tower.
Something relatively devastating happening this morning there.
That there is more and more fire and smoke.
Another plane has hit Tower 2.
Horrific scene here. There's debris flying through the air.
Directly in the middle of one of the World Trade Center towers.
Both towers of the World Trade Center have been hit.
And there was a plane. Next thing you know, we heard boom. We ran up to the corner and hit right into the World Trade Center.
Something that has happened here at the World Trade Center. We noticed flame and an awful lot of smoke from one of the towers of the World Trade Center.
Some sort of explosion. We don't fully know the details. There is one report, as of yet unconfirmed, that a plane has hit the World Trade Center.
Uncertainty right now as to what is happening. You can see there are choppers. I believe that could be a police helicopter that is. Oh, wow! We just saw. Oh my goodness! Another live picture right now. Oh my goodness! Of what I believe was a plane that just hit another plane.
It does not appear that there's any kind of an effort up there yet. Now remember, oh my God.
That looks like a second plane. Has just
I did not see a plane go in. That just exploded.
We just saw another plane coming in from the side.
Crashed into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York this morning.
Everywhere, people are jumping out the windows. Over there, they're jumping out the windows. I guess because they're trying to see themselves. I don't know.
Part of the Twin Tower obviously folding, coming crashing down. We're watching a live. It is right. We're watching a live.
The Pentagon has been evacuated. And there, as you can see, perhaps the second tower, the front tower, the top portion of which is collapsing.
Each of us will remember what happened that day and to whom it happened. We'll remember the moment the news came, where we were and what we were doing. Some will remember an image of a fire or a story of rescue. Some will carry memories of a face and a voice gone forever.